Step 3 came to accept that the locus of the problem was a mind infected with fear, futility, guilt and pain, the answer to which is a profound shift in consciousness. Now that we've accepted that our alcohol habit does not provide an escape route from the vicissitudes of life, we need to employ a different strategy to deal with our problems. Step 3 is designed to bring our awareness to the underlying psychological mechanisms that distort our view of reality and give rise to the sobriety saboteurs. The sobriety saboteurs being fear, futility, pain and guilt. Before embarking on this journey, we tried to eradicate alcoholism by removing the symptom, but our effects were to no avail. Removing alcohol alone is futile. Our answer lies in eradicating the cause, not the effect, the catalyst, not the symptom. To sustain sobriety and embrace our true potential, we must identify the psychological mechanisms that give rise to our destructive drinking. By identifying and processing the underlying patterns that give rise to our stinking thinking that fuels our destructive drinking, we release the need to escape. Once we eradicate the need to escape, alcohol becomes redundant. Remember, stinking thinking gives rise to destructive drinking. Change your thinking and end your drinking. The greatest obstacle to the successful implementation of Step 3 is lack of awareness. We need to accentuate our awareness to such an extent that we can discern that which is an actual problem and that which is a warped interpretation of the mind. Majority of our perceived problems exist in our mind only. They may masquerade as some person, place or thing in the external world, but this is often a decoy created by our mental filtering systems. A recent survey conducted on my clients found that a staggering 92% of problems attributed to abusive drinking were actually phantoms, distorted interpretations of an adversely conditioned mind. These findings reveal unequivocally that our mind is the primary problem. The amnestic effects of alcohol are so alluring because they present the illusion that we are getting out of our minds and escaping our problems, but this is simply a delusion born of desperation. People abuse alcohol in an attempt to get out of their minds and escape their problems, but this is a fallacy. Step 3 is about getting into your mind, dissolving the issues that give rise to abusive drinking, and tapping into that wellspring of inspiration that is buried beneath them. The next section is entitled Don't Blame, Reframe, and it's a lesson in psychology. We exert so much energy on misguidedly trying to solve our problems by attempting to manipulate and control other people and situations that we become depleted, frustrated and disillusioned. When others don't conform to our whims and demands, we revert to blame and resentment. But blame is simply an argument against growth. It does nothing other than disable us. By placing the locus of control back within ourselves, Step 3 is empowering. We may not always exercise control over external events, but we reign supreme over the inner kingdom of our mind. We have the power to change anything we choose in our internal dominion. And since the external world is a direct reflection of our state of mind, mastering our mind holds the key to a life beyond our wildest dreams. Don't forget, as within, so without. So let's look at how we can master these mirages of our mind and gain self-mastery. Let's start with a quote from Anne Nin. There is not one big cosmic meaning for all. There is only the meaning we each give to our life. An individual meaning, an individual plot, like an individual novel, a book for each person. All problems transpire from the meaning we assign to external events. Rather than deceiving ourselves into believing that other people, places and things are the cause of our problems, we need to examine the internal mechanisms that distort our view of reality. Firstly, we must recognize that meaning is not a product of the external world. It doesn't exist out there. It exists only within us. All problems transpire from the meaning we assign to life's events. As meaning is subjective, it does not exist in the external world, it exists only within us, then common sense tells us that our problems must reside within also. Anything that is intrinsic is under our sole jurisdiction, therefore we have the power to change it. Each of us has a unique perspective on life. For one person, an event may be unbearable, whilst for another, the very same event may be deemed pleasurable. How is this possible? As light changes appearance when passed through a coloured filter, external events are coloured when passed through the filter of our memory. As a consequence, internal representations of external events are often highly incongruent. Our memory doesn't simply duplicate what's out there and store it away. It infects what's out there with previous memories and stores a distorted interpretation. Let's take a simple example. John and his girlfriend, Jenny, ambled through the park. Jenny veered off to a nearby stream. When John looked around, she was taking delight in playing with the Labrador that was passing by with its owner. John broke out into cold sweats, his heart started to pound rapidly, and he walked briskly in the opposite direction. John was petrified after being badly bitten by a dog when he was 6 years old. This example shows that external reality, the dog, was not the problem. It became a problem only when John added his negative memories to the experience. The same event had contrasting meanings for John and Jenny. Jenny found it pleasurable, whilst John found it traumatic. This discrepancy emphasizes that problems have a tendency to arise from the internal disposition of a person rather than being a direct result of external events. John was not afraid of what was out there, he was afraid of what was within him. Removing the dog wouldn't have alleviated the problem. Processing the original trauma was the solution. The totality of our life's experience are internalized to form a mental filter through which all subsequent experience is processed. This is often referred to as our frame of reference. By virtue of processing the world through our frame of reference, our perception of life becomes twisted and warped. Old wounds reopen and give rise to emotionally charged responses that breed disharmony. Subsequently, corrosive inner dialogue unleashes the sobriety saboteurs, and we misguidedly seek sanctuary in alcohol. Let's take an example. Robert lived a relatively happy life until he was 8 years old. During this period, his parents started to argue and fight frequently. One day he returned home from school to find his mother has left. He has never seen her again to this day. Today, Robert's relationship with his wife, Angela, is fraught with problems. He tends to be smothering and reluctant to let her out of his sight. 2 weeks ago, she was late home from work due to stock taking. When she failed to show at the normal time, Robert felt an inferno of fury building up inside and started to pace up and down the hallway. The corrosive inner dialogue then kicked in. She's having an affair. She doesn't care about me. When Angela finally came through the door, she was met with a barrage of abuse. Robert venomously accused her of abandoning and cheating him. Angela was astonished and frightened by his reaction. The underlying process in this example is transference. Robert unconsciously experienced his wife as the mother who abandoned him many years ago. He was not disturbed by the current event. he was disturbed by his interpretation of it. John was traumatized by the meaning he assigned to the event, which was grossly distorted by negative memories. When viewing this innocuous incident through his frame of reference, it became a major problem, one that eventually threatened his marriage. Filtering systems often lead to irrational responses such as these and put severe strain on our cherished relationships. A loved one or friend inadvertently makes a comment or performs an action that taps into our negative memory bank, and we strike out like vipers, leaving the unassuming person, and often ourselves, perplexed and upset. This is a prime example of acting unconsciously, being propelled by psychological mechanisms that lay beyond the conscious threshold. The underlying mechanism in these cases is also the biggest cause of relapse: resentment. Many people return to drink because of some indignation felt that results from some grievance or other, but the object of their grievance is very often an innocent bystander who inadvertently opens up an old wound, as was the case with John. This covert mechanism is responsible for a multitude of problems. The answer lies within, not without. The word resentment can be defined as to refeel. When we refeel old wounds, we hurt and are temporarily knocked off balance. Our pain generally flares up in reaction to what someone says or does, so we erroneously perceive them as the cause of our problem. But the true cause of our pain lies buried deep within our psyche. The words and actions of these people are merely triggers. By making other people scapegoats, we remain ignorant and static. When we concentrate on resolving our own emotional and mental debris, these conflicts magically dissolve and we attain peace. There is another major psychological mechanism at work here too: projection. Projection is the unconscious process whereby we project the contents of our psyche onto other people or events and distort them out of all proportion. This process is similar to watching a scary movie and becoming frightened by it. In actuality, what stands before us is a rather harmless blank screen. Fear arises only when scary images are projected onto it. Similarly, many innocuous life situations are transformed into traumas and dramas as we unassumingly superimpose our negative memories over them. As with resentment, this mechanism sees us inadvertently placing the responsibility for our problems with other people. By projecting the shadow elements of our psyche, that is, our character defects, our shortcomings, and our negative memories, onto others, the world is perceived as a hostile place. This delusion gives rise to victim mentality, and we believe everyone is conspiring to upset or harm us. As a consequence, we become consumed with paranoia, and poor me soon turns to poor me another. Projection and resentment are prone to present the illusion that others are responsible for the way we feel. How often do you hear yourself saying, "She made me feel like this," or "He made me feel like that"? But in reality, no one can take a feeling and put it inside of us. Only we can do that. Eric Berne, founder of transactional analysis, put it this way: no one can make us feel any way. The way we feel is determined by virtue of how we process the world. This statement reinforces the fact that feelings are generated by the meaning we assign to external events. As self-awareness heightens, most problems are exposed as mirages of the mind, evoked by distorted interpretations of external events. These psychological apparitions are commonly responsible for the manifestation of the sobriety saboteurs. Fabricated experience and artificial reasoning, the acronym FEAR, F-E-A-R, underlie most instances of guilt, futility and pain that give rise to our destructive drinking. Fear is a phantom. F. Fabricated. E. Experience. A. Artificial. R. Reasoning. Fabricated experience and artificial reasoning. The acronym FEAR. Stamp that in your mind in indelible ink. Over 90% of our perceived problems occur in the dominion of the mind only. The mind is prone to fabricate experience and support it with artificial reasoning. Take the example of Robert above. His fear of losing his wife had materialized as a result of projecting his memories of his relationship with his mother onto his current relationship. Consequently, his perception had become severely distorted. The real-life event and his internal representations of it were in stark contrast. Robert's wife had simply been working late, but his mind had fabricated the experience of abandonment and supported it with the artificial reasoning that it had happened before, so it would inevitably happen again. Most manifestations of the sobriety saboteurs are based on this illusory mechanism. As fear makes the wolf appear bigger, so our filtering systems create problems out of nothing. Ultimately, what this suggests is that our destructive drinking transpires as a result of running away from something that doesn't exist, a fabrication of the mind. Furthermore, as these imaginary grievances give rise to the way we feel, and most people who abuse alcohol do so in order to feel better, then it is imperative that we wake up and resume control of our mind. Remember, feelings arise from the chemical messengers that are dispersed throughout our body and change our cellular structure. And these chemical messengers are derived from our thoughts. Consequently, if our mind is constantly polluted with corrosive inner dialogue, the subsequent feelings are going to be distressful and warrant escape. Step 3 urges us to intervene and end this facade. Remember, awareness is the key that will set you free. Each time you experience a symptomatic manifestation of these mind mirages, mood swings, oversensitivity, jealousy, neediness, the need to control, and so on, stop. Put the following sequence into operation, remembering the acronym STOP. S stands for stall, refrain from reacting. T stands for think. Become aware of the underlying mechanisms that promote conflict, projection, transference, resentment. O stands for observe. Allow any bodily sensations to arise. Don't respond, don't judge, simply observe. Center yourself in your higher awareness and watch as the perceived problem magically dissipates. And finally, P. P is for proceed. Simply carry on with your day. Every time you intervene in this way, you interrupt the brain processes that propel you to reenact old destructive patterns. Consequently, the supporting neural networks disband and you gradually resume conscious control of your life. The simple but powerful message of step 3 is don't blame, reframe. The following exercises are designed to heighten your awareness and encourage you to develop different views of your problems. By taking a different perspective and placing the locus of control within yourself rather than within some other person, place or thing, you pave the way to the next phase of our journey, invoking the shift. Exercise 1. Meditate on the owl archetype and absorb its attributes. An owl has 360-degree vision and can see in the dark, making him an expert in surveillance. He is highly alert and quick at identifying potential threats. He sees that which others cannot, which is the true essence of wisdom. Develop the skills of the owl and watch your life transform. Use owl energy to go deep into the dark recesses of your unconscious and identify the negative patterns that distort your view of reality. Remain forever vigilant and be prepared to break the chain of conditioned responses that promote disharmony in your life. Exercise 2. Meditate on the Hanged Man archetype. If you look at the tarot card depicting this character, you will notice that, although he's hanging in a compromising position, he oozes serenity. Hanging from a tree, upside down, he is suspending all action whilst taking a different perspective of the challenges that lay ahead of him. By looking at the world from a different perspective, he gains a different angle and considers his options. Whenever you're faced with a challenge, temporarily suspend any action whilst considering alternative explanations. Take different perspectives. Challenge the beliefs that underpin your negative interpretation and review your choices. Look through another frame of reference and describe what you see. In practicing this procedure, you will find that very often the meaning you originally ascribed is reversed and a problem becomes a challenge becomes an opportunity, a weakness becomes a strength, an impossibility becomes a probability, fear becomes an opportunity to display courage, unkindness becomes a lack of understanding, and a deficit becomes your greatest asset. Exercise 3. This part looks at actual problems that are not distorted interpretations of the mind. Obviously, we do encounter authentic problems in life, external situations that need to be resolved. Whenever you encounter an authentic problem such as these, one that is not a distorted invention of the mind, simply meditate on the element of water and apply it to your situation. Allow your mind to become fluid-like and flow around the obstacles you encounter. Like water, allow your mind to adapt to whatever route proves possible. As water develops power by merging with other rivers, allow your mind to merge with other positive influences in your life. Stick with the winners. With persistence, water can cut its way through the largest of obstacles. An extremely focused mind can do the same. As a flowing river never stagnates, futility never arises when we flow with the infinite possibilities that life has to offer. Ultimately, the intention of water is to return to its source, the ocean. You too are bound to return to your source and assume your rightful heritage as the ultimate creator. Please note the preceding exercises have stemmed from knowledge and alchemy derived from some of the greatest minds on our planet. Powerful ancestral alchemy. So embrace them and practice them daily in your lives and reap the results. Step 3 concludes the first phase of our program, acceptance and awareness. Step 4 leads us in to the next phase, invoking the shift.